After the president's girlfriend quietly let the guy assistant take over the project, I decided to quit up and walk away. However, the company eventually went under. After landing a significant deal for the business, my girlfriend gifted me a ring. I was thrilled and posted about it on social media, thinking she was finally ready to announce our engagement officially. Out of nowhere, my girlfriend's new assistant, Jake, slapped me and knocked over my desk. "You're the director. At least have some pride instead of stealing the gift my girl gave me, right?" Instead of denying it, my girlfriend claimed I wasn't fit for my role and publicly declared that Jake would handle the major project I had just secured. It hit me then that she intended to introduce Jake, not me, as her official partner. For a split second, everyone in the office pulled out their phones to watch me embarrass myself. But I wasn't upset. Instead, I grinned and handed my work badge to Jake. "So, you're the president's loyal sidekick. I'll take the director position as an apology and wish you both all the best." Seeing my unexpected reaction, a coworker was stunned and grabbed me, whispering, "Don't be rash. We can sort things out if we lose a project." Little did he know, I wasn't acting on impulse. Just yesterday, as I walked past the office, I overheard Jake pestering my girlfriend, Lisa. "I want to make a name for myself, Lisa. If you give me this new project, I'll crush it and make you see me differently." At the time, I didn't think much of it. After 7 years of being secret lovers, I declined a major offer from a big firm to help her start this company. I negotiated 90% of the projects, so she knew better than anyone how tough it was. Lisa was also someone with strong principles who would never mess with something as crucial as a project. Plus, she had previously seen a project stolen by someone climbing the social ladder, which she despised. So when I saw the ring Lisa gave me today, I thought she finally realized I was the right one and wanted to settle down. But I never expected Jake to twist things around and tarnish my reputation by calling me a thief, leaving me humiliated. What she didn't realize was that just a few months after Jake joined, Lisa compromised her principles for him. Given that, there was nothing left worth staying for in this broken company. Lisa still thought I was just being jealous, unaware that I had uncovered their immature plot. She suddenly frowned at me and said, "Why are you acting so weird? Since Jake showed up, she always treats me differently." This time, I didn't bother arguing. I calmly responded, "You're overthinking it. I really sent him away. He lost both his girl and his job." Just as I was about to leave, Lisa coldly pulled me into her office. The company was small, and the office had poor soundproofing. She had just shut the door when employees outside, eager for some drama, started praising Jake, asking when he was getting married or having kids. Jake awkwardly replied, "Having kids is tough for girls. I can't say when that'll happen." He acted like Lisa's legit boyfriend, and with her silent approval, everyone believed him. Lisa, hearing this, paused her actions, realizing she owed me something. The usually tough Lisa rarely softened her tone as she explained, "Jake's just a kid who doesn't get it. He only said that for fun, so don't take it seriously. He has connections at the client company, and this project went through because of him." I looked at her dumbfounded. Party Tech Thundercorp has a solid tech department and never needed outsourcing, so they turned down the collaboration from the start. It was my reluctance that led me to seek various favors from my grandparents just to meet the decision maker on the other side. He generously gave me 30 seconds, and I grabbed the chance to pitch the product. After seeing my expertise, he offered a high salary to hire me, but when that fell through, he agreed to collaborate. I stayed up all night and hustled daily for the project, but she saw none of it. Jake casually mentioned something, and she took it at face value. But if she had thought it through, she'd realized that if Jake really had those connections, he wouldn't be stuck as an assistant in this small, rundown company. Maybe she figured it all out, but was just pretending to be clueless. Seeing me stay silent for a while, Lisa briefly looked down, then stood up and made me a coffee. Leaning close, she whispered, "I'm just playing along with him. My only partner is you." In the past, every time we argued, when she softened her voice and made promises, I forgave her without question. So this time, she thought it would be the same. With a wave of her hand, she said, "Keep working, I'll handle the project." What she didn't know was that I no longer wanted anything to do with her. I pushed the chair away and stood up. "No need for all that. I'm out." Saying that, I pulled out my resignation form, wrote it quickly, and without looking back, walked out of the office. Jake saw me about to leave and hurriedly stopped me, pretending to be upset. Mike, I know you're a pro in the field. You're right. I'm not worthy of the tech director spot. I should just give it back to you. He grabbed my work badge and shoved it onto me messily. I gave him a gentle shove, but he stumbled, knocking over a chair and pulling down the computer, shocking the coworkers around us. Jake got up and, facing his concerned colleagues, waved dismissively, saying it was no big deal. Lisa, disturbed by the noise, rushed over in her tiny heels. Once it was confirmed Jake was okay, she frowned and glared at me. Mike, don't think just because you're a longtime employee, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, Mike, transitioning roles is for the company's growth. Don't use your seniority to bully the newbies. The harshest words came from my mentee, Walter, whom I had personally promoted. Is it just a few projects discussed? He really thinks he's the boss. Seems like he's hooked on forming cliques. Even a genius like Jake doesn't respect him. After all, we've been colleagues for years, and I was the sales champ. In the past, everyone respectfully called me Big Bro when they saw me. Now, one by one, they looked at me with glee, hoping I'd just disappear. It didn't matter anymore. Let them say what they wanted. I wasn't going to cater to them. I left the company without a word. Lisa jogged up to me, and seeing no one around, she rubbed her forehead and said, "You've been working too hard lately. Take some time off. You should rest. Today marks our 7th anniversary, so just stay home and wait for me. I've got a surprise for you." As she finished, the elevator arrived, and I got in without saying anything. When I got home, I cooked for myself, not intentionally waiting for her, and she still hadn't come back by evening. I put on my shoes, got ready, and went out to meet the client, but bumped into a colleague on the way. The guy was slow to react, so he didn't distance himself like the others. Instead, he greeted me warmly. "Mike, you're going to the promo party Lisa's throwing for Jake, right? Let's go together. We'll split the ride costs." He happily mentioned he didn't have to squeeze into the subway anymore, but I shook my head and declined. He glanced at me awkwardly and asked, "Didn't Lisa call you?" I nodded without much interest and walked away. I faintly heard him mutter complaints. Lisa's really protective, but she only shields Jake. I didn't turn back. She never protected anyone but Jake. For Jake, she'd do anything, and canceling plans wasn't new. Previously, when I was hospitalized with pneumonia, she said she'd visit after the meeting, but ended up watching a movie with Jake instead. We had planned to take couple photos, but I waited in a suit until the store closed. She finally showed up, saying she was held up by last-minute work. In reality, she'd been shopping with Jake, buying clothes that fit well. There were countless instances like this, and every time I asked, she pushed back, claiming work was the priority, making our interactions truly exhausting. At the cafe, the client from Party A looked at the progress I submitted and exclaimed, "Mike, are you seriously not thinking about switching jobs? The salary would skyrocket." This time, I didn't refuse. The client from Party A happily suggested we could discuss any requests. After negotiating the benefits and compensation, I returned home to find Lisa had already packed lunch and was sitting on the sofa waiting for me. She canceled our plans again. In the past, she'd explain everything, but this time, she stayed silent. After a moment, she pushed the lunchbox in front of me and said, "You must be tired today too, so don't bother cooking. Just heat this up and eat." I looked down. The plastic box was a messy pile of dishes, lacking any appeal, with mixed stir-fried and boiled items, and even a piece of steamed cake soaking in soup. It was clearly leftover food, carelessly packed. "No thanks, I've already eaten." I waved off. Lisa looked at me deeply, and the usually distant one wrapped her arms around my waist. "I'm sorry, he just got promoted, and as his boss, I need to show some support. I know you had a rough day, so let's get our certificates this weekend." Heh, that sounds nice. But when I got promoted to director, I was so happy that I threw myself into a promotion party. I sat in the private room, eagerly waiting while the waiter reheated the dishes 5 times. By the time the restaurant closed, not a single colleague showed up for the appointment. Every message I sent vanished without a trace. A kind colleague quietly asked if I had upset the president. I was confused at first, but soon realized what happened. When I wasn't in the office, Lisa coldly scolded each colleague who said they were going to a banquet. "Is the workload too light? Are you all just bored? Every day you only think about eating, drinking, and having fun. Is this what the company pays for? People like you who are useless? You might as well leave." Thinking of this, I pulled her restless hand from my waist and said coldly, "No need for that, Lisa. Let's break up." The room instantly went silent. Lisa gasped, her emotions bursting forth. "I've made these sacrifices for the company's growth, while others' boyfriends would be eager for it. How can you not understand?" I ignored her twisted reasoning. She was as self-absorbed as ever, mumbling about the company's importance, saying that once the company went public, she'd give me a position. I'd heard it all before and interrupted directly. "No need, I'm packing up and leaving right now." For years, Lisa had been the authoritative boss, and this was the first time her words were interrupted. Her face turned red with anger as she glared at me before coldly saying, "No need, I'm out." She slammed the door and left with a bang. I didn't chase after her, quietly packing my things. Party A arranged a free luxury single room in the staff dormitory for me, ready to move in any time. I had just finished packing and called the moving company. As I was about to complete the move, I bumped into Jake escorting Lisa home. They walked together, fingers intertwined, chatting and laughing. Lisa had shed her aloof, cold demeanor, lowering her head with a charming smile, standing beside Jake like a shy bird relying on him. Jake spotted me first and deliberately held on tighter. Lisa sensed something was off, followed his gaze, saw me, and quickly let go of his hand. She approached me, ready to explain, but when she saw me loading things into the car, she was momentarily stunned before changing her question. "It's so late. Where are you going, blind?" "Can't you see the big letters? Moving company." I was about to continue moving my things. Lisa suddenly blocked my path and shoved the clothes she was holding into my hands. "I know you've been busy and haven't had time to buy clothes, so I grabbed these for you while passing by the mall." "Did you buy this for me?" I asked. "I wear size XL, but this brand shirt is size M. The card number on the receipt belongs to Lisa, and the price is over 10 grand. Where did you conveniently buy this for me? It must have been specifically chosen with Jake at the store, right? So thoughtful of you." "Just 2 days ago, I bought a shirt for 200 and asked her if it looked good. She scolded me for wasting money with a cold face, nagging for over an hour about how hard it is to earn money, and said that no matter how well dressed I am, it can't compare to having real strength." What? Making money is that easy? I stood with my hands in my pockets, watching them coldly. "No thanks, I've already eaten." As the saying goes, a person is known by their clothes, a horse by its saddle, and a dog runs happily with a bell. Such expensive clothes were better left for Jake. Jake paused while putting on his clothes, and realizing what was happening, he suddenly threw the clothes down and shouted angrily, "Do you dare insult me?" He glared at me with red eyes and rushed over, ready to strike. I stood still and with a slap, sent him tumbling to the ground. "I dare to hit you again." Jake's slender limbs were like wooden sticks. The only reason he could hit me during the day was because I was caught off guard. Now I had returned that slap to him. "Lisa," he shouted, heartbroken as she held Jake in her arms. "Let's talk this out. Why hit someone? If you want to leave, then go, don't come back." I didn't plan to return and didn't need her to say much. I turned around and got into the moving company's truck, racing towards a new life. After leaving my job, I directly joined the client company, where I was given important responsibilities. When I arrived back at Lisa's company as the client, the receptionist greeted me warmly. As soon as I walked into the office area, I saw Jake wearing the director's badge, striding through the employees' workstations with an imposing presence. Make this logo a bit larger while also making it a bit smaller. When I said adjust the black, I meant not pure black, but that iridescent black like a crow's wing. After looking at it all, the first version is still better overall, but I like the font from the 7th version and use the color from the 16th version. Finish the changes today and send it to me for a look. I want grunt. There was a lot of tension at the workstation, and someone couldn't hold back, retorting, "This design has already been approved by the client. The main issue now is the program's stability." Jake snorted coldly. "The client is just a nouveau riche. What do they know about true art? I'm the one in charge here, with my top-notch taste. The client is guaranteed to be satisfied, and who knows, if he's in a good mood, he might even give us a bonus. Come on." The company developed a brand new system to provide convenience to a wide range of users, not to hold an online art exhibition. Moreover, these colorful words are so unclear. Are you planning to contribute to the ophthalmology department of the hospital? With Jake's level, it's no wonder he can be reused. The efficiency is getting worse and worse. The program crashes as soon as it runs, and the quality has shrunk to an unacceptable level. Some colleagues saw my presence, and the once hostile gazes turned into pleas for help. Even Walter, who used to speak harshly to me, had been kicked out of the creative team and became someone who paid for his own coffee. Jake cast a disdainful glance at me and said, "Looks like I need to suggest to Lisa that we add a security position. Otherwise, any Tom, Dick, or Harry could walk into the company." The receptionist, slightly bowing, was about to remind him to watch his words since she represented the client. The next moment, Lisa strutted past me in her high heels, thinking I had come to the wrong place. She huffed, "Oh, isn't this Mike? Realizing it's hard to find work out there? Are you thinking of coming back?" Jake chuckled and said with fake goodwill, "I have high hopes for Mike's abilities. I think we can arrange for him to take a supervisory position under me. If he works hard, it won't be long before he achieves something great." Lisa looked at me disdainfully with her arms crossed. "Supervisor? He doesn't deserve that. He can come back, but he has to start from the ground up as a regular employee, with his salary cut in half and all performance bonuses deducted." Other colleagues gasped in shock, distancing themselves from me, fearing they might catch the bad vibes. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lisa still didn't know that I had become her client, no longer the obedient follower I once was. Lisa raised an eyebrow and asked curiously, "What are you laughing at?" I silently took a contract out of my briefcase and slapped it on the table. "Let's get to know each other again. I'm Mike, the technical director of Thunder Corp. I'm here to inform you the project is suspended, the contract is terminated." The contempt in Lisa and Jake's eyes turned to shock. The once crowded and noisy office became so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. After some time, a faint sound emerged from the crowd. Someone exclaimed a curse in surprise, completely breaking the eerie silence. Lisa straightened up and looked me over. "Mike, you haven't lost it, have you?" Jake sighed and said with a smile, "This joke isn't very funny." "A joke?" I looked at Lisa coldly. "If it's a joke, just check the contract and you'll know." Lisa immediately put on a stern face and leaned over with Jake to look at the contract. Realizing I had truly become the director of the client company, Lisa looked at me in disbelief. "Is terminating the contract your way of getting back at me?" She pondered for a moment, but I didn't have time for that. "The quality your company submitted seriously deviates from what we discussed initially, and it has affected our reputation. It's not just about terminating the contract. This is the compensation you need to pay." I took out another document from my briefcase. Lisa stared wide-eyed at the string of numbers, shocked, and exclaimed, "Are you robbing me?" I spread my hands and said, "If you're not satisfied, you can file a lawsuit in court. Thunder Corp's legal department will back you till the end. Goodbye." I turned and left, leaving everyone staring at each other in confusion. As soon as I stepped out of the company door, I heard Lisa yell at the receptionist, "Why didn't you say something sooner? This situation is all your fault. You're fired." It's still the same as before, just knowing how to vent anger on others. The real culprits behind all this were her protected leader and the talentless Jake who oversaw everything. Yet she only targeted the innocent receptionist. As I reached the elevator, Walter caught up with me, his head bowed in apology. "Master, please take me with you. I know I was wrong. This little jerk only made me run errands and buy coffee, never letting me do anything worthwhile." Walter graduated from university and started working under me. For 3 years, I dedicated myself to teaching him, almost feeding him knowledge. But he trampled on me when I was down and now wants to shamelessly come back. Where in the world is such a good thing? I looked at him coldly. What's Walter talking about? I'm just someone who only knows how to form small groups. I can't offer you any promotion opportunities. You can really learn a thing or two about flattery and sycophancy from Jake. Walter turned completely pale. As I stepped into the elevator, I saw Lisa rushing over in a hurry. I pressed the elevator button first, and she stomped her feet in anger, shouting defiantly, "It's just one project. If it's gone, it's gone. I'll get you more projects to see. I refuse to believe that if the company goes under, you won't survive." I didn't respond. With the foundation I once built, even if I'm not there, the company would run smoothly and wouldn't go bankrupt. But if the power remained with Jake, then who knows? I returned to the client company, worked diligently, led the team, and developed a brand new system, achieving great success. The boss personally hosted a party to congratulate me. The boss specifically booked a large private room and invited our entire tech department. Everyone walked in, arms around each other's shoulders, smiling. As I was about to enter amidst the crowd, I saw Lisa, drenched in sweat and looking flustered, appear at the door. Her high heels had broken a strap. "Did you change your phone number?" She no longer had her aggressive tone, just a hint of complaint in her voice. She must have been really anxious lately, unable to reach me. I didn't know where she heard the news, but she showed up at my celebration party. I stepped past her and entered. She was eager to catch up. I stopped and coldly stared at her. "This is our company's gathering. Outsiders should please leave." The etiquette lady awkwardly approached Lisa and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but our store is exclusively booked by this guest today. You can come back next time." Lisa looked at me as I entered, anxiously shouting, "I'm his girlfriend. I'm here to find him." The etiquette lady maintained a friendly smile. "But that gentleman doesn't know you, so please step outside first." Lisa called my name several times, but I didn't respond. She stomped her foot in anger and ran away. The boss looked at me with a smile and said, "The reason you didn't leave before was for her, wasn't it?" I tugged at the corner of my mouth and said, "Yeah, but not anymore." The boss smiled and patted me on the shoulder. "Let's not talk about the past. Today is your celebration party. Everyone eat well, drink well, and have fun. Money is no object." Everyone cheered and celebrated, with endless praise pouring in. I smiled and responded to each one while holding my cup. Lisa stood outside the store, shivering in the cold. She pitifully leaned against the glass, staring at me. I waved to call the waiter over, and her eyes widened in surprise, excitedly thinking I had softened and compromised. However, when the waiter simply dismissed her, her expression changed completely, becoming terrifyingly gloomy. After I had my fill of food and drinks, I stepped out, said goodbye to my colleagues, and prepared to take a taxi home. Lisa rubbed her numb legs, blocking my way, tears streaming down her face. "How could you go to that company, Mike? Do you know? The company we started together is about to go under." I looked at her coldly. "I left a long time ago. Even if the company goes bankrupt, it has nothing to do with me." Just then, Jake ran over from across the street, thoughtfully draping a coat over Lisa's shoulders. He turned to me and questioned, "Are you even a man, letting your girlfriend wait outside in this cold? Lisa is just using me, and you're not happy about it. But you wouldn't go so far as to sabotage all the company's projects out of spite for Lisa, would you?" Hearing his accusations one after another, I realized that ever since Thunder Corp ended the partnership, it was like a domino effect was set in motion, causing other projects to hit snags one by one, leading to forced contract terminations. The company's work had basically stalled, and we still had to pay hefty penalties for breach of contract. The most critical issue was that a company operating at a loss still had daily expenses like rent, utilities, and employee salaries. Every day it stopped, Lisa lost a significant amount of money. At this moment, she'd completely lost her proud demeanor and looked at me. "Mike, ever since you left, I've realized the company lost its core without you. Can you come back? The director position is still yours. Let's start over." Upon hearing this, Jake's expression changed immediately. "Lisa, I admit he has more experience than I do. But can he understand what young people want? Can he keep up with the new era?" He had been rambling on, always indulging Lisa. But this time he didn't defend her, and couldn't help but speak the truth. "Enough, Jake. Don't you understand? The reason the company has fallen to this point is because of your incompetence and misguided leadership. You keep fixating on useless details and making endless revisions while ignoring the crucial aspects that truly matter. This has led to the project being ruined, resulting in contract terminations from various clients, and now we have to pay compensation." Jake, who had been bragging, suddenly fell silent, his fists clenched and eyes turned red. "I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm worthless. Someone like me doesn't deserve to live." He ran onto the road like a madman, charging through red lights. Frightened drivers slammed on their brakes, letting out curses. Lisa turned pale with fright and wanted to follow. Seeing me still waiting for the bus, she hesitated for a moment and gritted her teeth, saying, I'm sorry, I'm worried something might happen to him. Let's leave it at that for today, and I'll come talk to you next time. My number hasn't changed. Remember to add me back. We can chat online. As she spoke, she called out Jake's name while chasing after him. My ride arrived, and I got in without paying her any mind, laughing to myself, we've already broken up, and you're still thinking about me adding you back. When I got home in the evening, I saw that Lisa had sent several friend requests and kept asking why I hadn't accepted them. I didn't reply. After a good night's sleep, on my way to work the next day, Lisa, with dark circles under her eyes, was stuck in traffic. Mike, do you really not care if I live or die? I really can't take it anymore. I silently avoided her. Don't you have a high-achieving student studying abroad? Can't you find a way? Lisa gave a look that said, I knew you were still angry, and smiled as she assured, I know you're still mad at him. I've already fired him, and the director position will always be yours from now on. When someone reaches the extreme of silence, they might just laugh out loud. I'm a director at a large company, highly valued by my boss, with a high salary. Why should I go to your nearly bankrupt company to be a laborer? I shook my head and was about to leave when suddenly someone in the opposite building shouted, and a crowd gathered around. Jake stood on the rooftop across from Lisa, calling her, Lisa, it's me. I've been so arrogant and useless. I've betrayed your trust, and now the company is on the brink of collapse. Firing me isn't enough. I can't repay you with money. I can only pay with my life. Lisa cried out in panic, Jake, please calm down. I'm just temporarily suspending you. Once the company gets better, will you come back? Jake spoke firmly. I don't want to hold you back. Lisa's face turned pale with urgency, and she gritted her teeth. Jake, come down. The director position is still yours. I don't know what they talked about afterward. This incident alarmed the firefighters, and the noisy crowd around them was aware of it. Even our colleagues in the company were discussing it. Do you know about that kid who jumped off the building? He was just threatening the company. He didn't really dare to jump. He got pulled back by the firefighters and ended up so scared he wet himself. A group of people laughed and joked, busying themselves, and before long, the entire morning had passed. A colleague and I went downstairs to eat, and Lisa ran over with the coffee she had just bought. Mike, I'm sorry, the situation was special at the time, but don't worry, even though I promised him the director position, I didn't specify which department. She playfully winked at me. I've opened a brand new department, just giving him a framework to play with. The technical director position belongs solely to you. I treated her like air, pulling my colleague past her. Let's go eat at that Wang Men chicken place. Lisa was left behind, looking for a chance to speak to me alone. But I finished my meal and went into the company, and she couldn't keep up. Later, she brought me flowers at the door every day, seeking reconciliation. I know you hate Jake, and I've kept my distance from him. Mike, let's make up. She brought me homemade breakfast every day, each one different. But I never accepted it. In the past, when I was with her, she enjoyed my kindness while being tangled with Jake. Now that I had left her, I realized my regret. It was too late. The weather was too cold, and I didn't pay attention for a moment and caught a slight cold. On my way to the hospital, I passed by a ward. Lisa was carefully attending to Jake, who was lying in bed, and gently said, Jake, this is the porridge I just made. It's a bit hot, so let me blow on it before you drink. By the way, is there anything else you want to eat? I can make it for you. As she spoke, her peripheral vision caught sight of me, and in shock, she put down her bowl and rushed over to grab me, repeatedly explaining, I really kept my distance from him, but he was on the rooftop a while ago, got scared, and fell ill. I didn't want to take care of him, but he has relatives in your company, right? I was afraid he'd retaliate, and for your sake, I took care of him. It was always the same few excuses, repeated over and over. Doesn't she ever get tired of it? Moreover, on the day Jake jumped from the building, I saw his aunt, who was the cleaning team leader. How does he want to take revenge? Does he want his aunt to cut my internet cable? I pulled her hand away and took a step back to maintain my distance. Lisa, we've broken up. We have nothing to do with each other. Who you want to take care of or get close to has nothing to do with me. Lisa was taken aback, her eyes reddening. She suddenly noticed the list I was holding and hurriedly asked, Are you sick? Where do you feel unwell? Let me get you some medicine. I was about to refuse when Jake suddenly shouted from the ward, Lisa, my head hurts so much, I feel like I'm dying. Please help me call the doctor. Clearly, every hospital bed has a call button, and nurses were constantly coming and going. Yet Lisa still panicked and pushed me aside, rushing in to comfort Jake. She held Jake close, softly comforting him. In a corner where she couldn't see, Jake's gaze towards me was filled with provocation, exuding the demeanor of a victor. Bored. I shook my head and took the list to the window to get the medicine. By the time Lisa remembered, I had already left, and she was searching for me throughout the hospital. Later, after some time had passed, she came out again, looking even more disheveled than before. She had sold all her valuable jewelry and clothes at low prices, all to raise a little money. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and stubbornly wiped them away. Mike, it must have been really hard for you when you were running those businesses back then, enduring disdain and still having to persevere. It turned out that during this time, she had been busy running her own business, which is why she finally understood the hardships I had endured before. I smiled and said, Yeah, when your company first started, it was too small. I had to negotiate deals as a technical staff member. Now it's different. I just need to do my job well, and there's a dedicated department for negotiations, so I don't have to worry about it. It's not tiring at all, and my salary is pretty high. Lisa froze, feeling quite awkward. After a moment of hesitation, she gritted her teeth and said, What does a salary matter? I can let you invest your skills. Working for others is exhausting. I sneered. Better be your own boss. Am I the owner of a company that's about to go bankrupt? Just as Lisa was about to explain, her phone rang. On the other end, the employee said urgently, Lisa, you need to come back quickly. Jake has cut his wrists. Lisa shivered with urgency and took a step to leave. But just when our eyes met, she stopped in her tracks, gritted her teeth, and resolutely said, What, Jake? He's already been fired. If he wants to commit suicide, call the police and send him to the hospital. I'm not a doctor, so why come to me? Saying this, Lisa hung up the phone. She also pulled me to look, saying she had deleted all of Jake's contact information and would definitely not contact him again. Dragging me and not letting me go, she started to ramble on and criticize Jake. Only then did I realize that she had been running around recently, and after much effort, she had finally secured a small deal due to her previous good performance. When Jake accepted it, he found the price too low and had a terrible attitude, even arguing with the client on the spot. In a fit of anger, Party A terminated the contract, blacklisted the company, and spread negative rumors everywhere. Even Lisa's reputation was tarnished, leaving her with no opportunities at all. Seeing that I hadn't responded for a long time, Lisa began to play the emotional card, trying to win me back. When we first started the company, we had to stretch every penny, and later, even when we had money, we became reluctant to spend it. Not at all. She just couldn't bear to give me flowers. The gift for Jake was definitely one of a kind. Jake, a recent grad from an average family, managed to dress stylishly every day, relying on Lisa's support. It can be said that Jake's entire outfit, including his underwear, was bought for him by Lisa. And I had given so much to the company for her, yet I had nothing. Looking back now, I really was swept away by love. How could I have endured it? Lisa didn't know what I was thinking and kept rambling on. At that time, you worked so hard to land your first project. You were so happy that you couldn't sleep all night, saying the company was your child and you wanted to see it thrive. Later, many companies tried to poach you, but you never left. Mike, I'm begging you, okay? The company needs you, and I can't do without you, she said, choking back tears. I shook her hand off once again and said seriously, Lisa, I'm only going to say this one last time. It's over between us. Don't come to bother me again. Lisa looked at my resolute figure as I left and walked to the riverbank, shouting, Mike, if you don't help me, I'll die. After all these years together, are you really going to just watch me die? I didn't look back. I just dropped a line and walked away. I'm not you, and I won't easily abandon my principles because of someone's threats. Take care of yourself. Behind me, there was a splash, and the surrounding passersby gasped, rushing to save the person. Only I walked against the tide, unwavering. Lisa jumped into the river, but she was quickly rescued. In the end, her company went bankrupt. And not only that, she also incurred a large amount of debt. The employees who still hadn't received their wages banded together and took the matter to court. Later, Jake proposed to her, and she accepted. After getting married, the witty and humorous Jake in her eyes had completely changed, or perhaps he simply no longer wanted to pretend. Spending all day playing games, doing nothing, just waiting for Lisa to work hard, paying off debts while supporting him. Lisa was under a lot of pressure, working during the day and setting up a stall at night. One time, by chance, I passed by her stall, and it was she who recognized me. But as soon as she finished speaking, Jake, who was sitting by the roadside in a white t-shirt playing a game, suddenly put away his phone and slapped her across the face, still calling her. If you want to get back together with him so badly, just go. Jake is just not as well built as I am, but as a man, his strength is considerable, and Lisa cannot resist him at all. She wore a dirty apron, and her once fair fingers had calluses. A passerby stepped forward to dissuade him, and he looked at me with a sense of grievance. I paid no heed and left coldly.